I start by going around and looking at as many specimens as I can find. The Cornell Lab of Ornithology, I collaborated with them quite a bit, and they were generous enough to let me see theirs. They have a very beautiful mounted Eskimo curlew that I got a lot of measurements from, studied, photographed, drew from. And from there, I make a small clay model. In the case of the Eskimo curlew, I made a model about 8.5 inches tall in a pose. And so I'm working in clay, so I can adjust the pose. And the pose I'm looking for is, one, I want people to recognize what the species is. So it needs to be proportionally and expressively based on a kind of iconic position of the bird. But then I work, tirelessly to get in that gesture something that we're physically sympathetic to. When you look at your, loved dog and tilt your head and the dog tilts its head, you feel a kind of sympathy to that look of inquiry and acknowledgement that you're both sort of sentient beings. And that's something I want the sculptures to have. I want them to be familiar physically. So you feel you're in the presence of a kind of sympathetic physical force, energy. Then there's scale. I go from that small model when I'm feeling satisfied with it. I start to scale it up. And in this case, I scaled up to about 4 feet tall and made modifications. And then I scaled up to a full height of about 6'3". And at that scale, for this sort of long-legged bird, gives the sculpture, again, a kind of physical sympathy to humans. It's a sort of human scale. And then the other aspects that people are often curious about, they're quite smooth. I work really hard on the surface, and there's very little detail per se. There's general silhouette, general shape of the bird, but there are no feathers, no eyes, no toenails or scales. To me, that smooth surface conjures a kind of tactility, something you want to reach out and touch, and also the effects of time and memory on the past. So in a way, not a very literal sense, but in a kind of expressive sense, they have a bit of the quality of a beach stone, that just feels good in the hand. You pick it up, the softness of the shape, and time has taken off the bumps and the pores of it and softened it, and that's the quality I want the sculptures to have. So they're all pretty minimal in their detail, but hopefully that helps with the general expression of loss and invites touch, which I think is the way the past can become very much present.